Vanessa. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Lukas. Nice to meet you too. Where are you calling from today?
I'm in the office in Gdansk in Poland, actually. Today it's an office day for me. Got a couple of team members here. I baked the cake, actually, because it's my last week of my old team, and then we'll switch to a new team next week. So
Nice.
that's the reason for it. And you?
Well, I'm calling from Berlin. It's an office day for me as well. Actually, nearly the last one this week. Next week, my holiday starts, and then 3 weeks off. I'm looking forward to that.
Where are you flying?
To Croatia.
Nice.
Yeah, first
I've
time.
never been there, but I've heard it's really beautiful.
Yeah, me neither. So I'm looking forward to see that as well. So you said you're switching teams. So what do you do now, and where will you do, or what will you do later on then?
So since I've been in Poland, which is actually since March 2020, so my first day was exactly when the pandemic started. And then I was always in a double role, so did 50% of projects and did 50% of operations. And also the last time I was like a co-team lead here in the shared service center in Gdansk in the learning and training area, so always in HR. And now I will leave this learning and training team and switch 100% to the project team, which I already knew, of course, but yeah, with them being 100% in projects, also I get a new project, which I'm really much looking forward to. So that's a little bit of the switch I take, but similar as you, I have next week also 1 week off. So I'm also need to take some time to recharge the batteries before I start in a new job. And what are you doing?
Well, I work in communications, internal communications for the site in Berlin, and mainly I'm responsible for the visitor management. So I design guided tours here on the campus, for example, through production. We have a museum here as well on the whole site. And yeah, so I go around, look for all the information, then I design the tour, and I do the tours myself. And I started this in 2017 as an external employee. And since October last year, I officially joined Bayer, and I'm very happy that I managed to get a position here now.
Good to hear that. I was in Berlin actually on the site I think it was April this year, to visit some colleagues there, because since October 2020, I started to be highly involved in a BRG then called Young Bayer. Probably you have heard of it, which is now called Merge, from multi-generational resource group in Bayer. And Young Bayer, of course, focused on the young-minded people within Bayer. And I work closely with those people in Berlin because it originally came from Berlin, and I was there the first time. And the campus looked really great, so really big, like a small city, I would say. So really nice, like Leverkusen, similar, but Leverkusen has like a little bit more green and the park inside. So that's a little bit different. Yeah,
we have like a small city in the big city. Did you do any guided tours, or did you know that there are guided tours here on the campus?
Not in Berlin, because I was only there for two days. I did one in Leverkusen, also through the production supply center, I think 3 years ago or so, back when I started in Bayer in 2018. So that was cool to see, but I didn't do a guided tour in Berlin.
So now you know, next time you come.
next time I have a personal contact to the guiding tour.
Exactly.
So what's on your mind? What are topics at the moment that are top of your mind and that you are thinking about when it comes to your work at Bayer?
Well, there are two things actually at the moment. So one is actually I'm starting to do a vlog, so little videos for topics from the site. For example, this year we have 150 years anniversary of one of our buildings. So this is going to be one topic of the building, and I work together with a company, and we then design these little videos, and we want to do like every 3 months, quarterly, one video. So this is something that I just started, where I had the first meeting this week to find like all the material, and now after my holidays, they're going to propose to me the very first draft, how it can look like, the idea, how the video is then designed. So this is a very big thing that I will be doing now. And the other thing is that, have you heard of POAPs?
POAPs.
Yeah.
No, actually not. What's that?
So this is it's called POAP NFT. So maybe you have heard of NFTs before.
Yeah.
All right. So an NFT is a digital art piece, and a POAP is proof of attendance certificate, and it's like a little token that you get after you visited a event somewhere. And there are really like POAP hunters already that hunt those POAPs, because you only get one if you were part of this event. And this now, Bayer is the very first company in the healthcare and life science sector who now uses POAPs. And I started 2 weeks ago to have the POAPs for my guided tour. So everyone who does a guided tour now will get a POAP. And this is a very innovative thing for us to do and to be the very first ones in this area. So I'm kind of like a POAP ambassador here at the site at the moment. I'm talking to a lot of people and explaining how it works, how do you get it, how do you create it. So this is another topic that at the moment is taking a lot of my time, but it's fun. I like it.
Very innovative. So two things. So probably you have already seen it, like the energy counter at the Berlin site, right?
Yeah.
This is one thing that Young Buyer was highly involved. So maybe this can be also part of one of your blogs as one topic of sustainability.
Yeah.
And the other part of the NFTs, is it like that the people then have to design it themselves, or do they get it from you, or how does it work?
Well, if you, for example, have your own event and you want to use POAPs there, you can, of course, tell me what you want. So actually, I'm also working together with another colleague on this, so I can't do it myself. I'm telling him as well what he has to do, but it's always like a round token, and mostly it's like a picture inside, and then you have some like writings around it, and you can have like if you click on it, then in your app you get a text as well, so you can have like information. Why did you get it? What was the topic of the event you took you took part in? And there can also be like a link designed to which leads you to an internet page where you will get information that is only for this group of people who took part in this event. So very customized special information. So that's very good as well.
Okay, so it's not only for a guided tour, but for every, I would say, meeting or something like that you have then in Berlin.
Yes, I mean, everyone who wants to have this, but it's like a special little thing to have, and it makes it maybe more attractive to people to join. If you get collection fever and you start collecting these POAPs, you want to go to events where you get them. You could also have them as your like private token. I'm just designing one at the moment that's called I've Met Melissa. So this is more like a mixture of private and working token then, and then I put some text in what is my professional background, what is my private life like, and stuff like this. So you can do this, and you can also do like trainings. If you had a training, you can get a POAP as well. What else? Really, you could have like an Easter egg hunt on the campus, and you have to find the QR codes on the campus. Then you get the POAP for finding this or that. So there's a lot of things that you can do with that, and that's very innovative. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what kind of other ideas other colleagues then have as well to use it.
Yeah, if you have your personal one, then I would love to see that, how it looks, or a general one that you maybe can send over, and so that I can have a look of it, because I never heard of it that Bayer does something like that. So
yeah,
that's very cool.
Once I have it after my holiday, we can get in touch again. And as you've then met Melissa already, exactly. You can have the POAP then as well. Yes.
Cool. Thank you. And then one other question that came to my mind when you said that you were first an external employee and now an internal employee since last October. So do you see any change? I mean, besides all the system things and so on, but like any change from, I don't know, cultural perspective or so on, from looking from external outside and then being part of internal Bayer?
It's a little bit easier for me now to get in touch with people, because when I was external, I had the access to the intranet, so I could search for people, but I was not really allowed to just get in touch with them. So mainly also when there were questions in the tours, I always had to ask my responsible person within Bayer to then forward the questions to whoever can answer them. And now I can just do this myself. So there's one step less on the way. Other than that, actually, I really liked it from the start. Even though being external, I spend a lot of time here at the campus, because during the tours, obviously, I had to be here. And I like the atmosphere here from the start. People were very friendly, like greeting when walking on the campus here and there. So yeah, it stayed the same. And what I really liked as well was in the beginning, when people noticed that my signature in the emails has changed and now I'm internally employed, they were like congratulating me and like, this is so good. And I was so happy when I heard that you are now working for Bayer. And so I liked that. That was really nice.
And what have you studied, or what have you did before your time at Bayer?
I did my master's in World Heritage Studies. So this basically is, how do you manage cultural and natural sites And my focus was on the visitor experience. So how can you make the best experience for the visitor when he visits a natural or cultural site? And when I did this, I would have never thought that I end up at Bayer and doing exactly this here. But I'm really happy because I really like that. Every year I'm looking for a new topic. I started with, as I said, with production, then it was history with the museum, then it was the site itself, research and development. So every year there was something else that I needed to learn about. So it's not boring. And also I really like interacting with people. So when I have the tours and I meet the people and they are like also open, asking questions, and people always think like, oh my God, what if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer? In fact, for me, this is the best because then I can learn as well. Firstly, I start thinking about it. So maybe I know the answer already if I just like combine the information I already have. But if not, I'm going to reach out to people and ask, and then I know it for later on as well. So this is actually the best case scenario for me if people ask question and I don't know the answer, because then I can learn. So yeah, that's something that I really like.
So that was like a perfect fit from your studies to your
Yes.
the actual job. But how did you did the tours during COVID? Did there were like a virtual tour then, or how did it happen?
Well, firstly, we had to stop altogether, and this was actually a sad thing because, as said, I was still external then, and I had a team of guides, 3 guides who were like students who worked for me and did the tours here, and then I had to all let them go because of COVID, because we didn't have any tours anymore. Then we first waited a little bit because no one knew what's going to happen, how long does this thing stay, and then we started actually thinking about ways to doing the tours in a virtual way. And for the museum tour, for example, I had a phone then with a gimbal, this like stabilizer for the camera. And I did like live tours in the museum. So I was walking through the museum, filming everything and like talking to people. In the end, I was like their avatar. They could tell me where to go. And then I was like walking through the museum like their avatar. That was nice. And also we did a 360-degree tour of the site. So that's like Google Street View. You can enter it on the internet and you can just like walk on the campus and get information, see videos, photos, and you can like get to know the site in your own time. This is something that we did in this year then.
Everything sounds very innovative as far as we've talked about. Yeah, NFT, avatar, site tour, virtual, like Google Maps. So Berlin and yourself sounds to be really forward thinking, let's say.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. I'm not the best when it comes to IT knowledge and what can be done. But if you know people and they have good ideas, I'm very happy to adopt them and learn about them quickly and implement them then.
That's the same with me.
Yeah, what about yourself? So you said your new team is going to be more projects. What kind of projects?
So have you heard of SSCDN? So this network. Okay, so in Bayer we have like SSCDN, which is called Shared Service Center Delivery Network. So like basically 8 or 9 legal entities across the globe. One in Leverkusen, one in Barcelona, in Gdansk, Poland, in Bangalore, India, in Manila, Philippines, Dalian, China, one in Costa Rica, and one in Brazil. So all this is like a big network, and those network or those centers provide services for different countries or different legal entities, let's say. Mainly it's like countries. So here in Gdansk, we offer mainly for the European time zone. Yeah, so there are a lot of services, for example, for Germany, Switzerland, France, and so on and so forth, and always depending on the function. And mainly what I did in the past and what I'm still doing is transition projects. So we're transferring then from a country or from another center to a different center or from a country to country. So there are different ways of transferring then the work. This is what I was mainly responsible for. Right now, I'm leading the transition, which is concerning some HR process from the US to Costa Rica. So I work since November, basically mainly with Costa Rica and US colleagues together, which is really nice. I like it a lot to work with different cultures. It's really something which I like and prefer. And actually, I also have the chance in 2 weeks' time to fly to Costa Rica to meet the people. So that's also will be a very cool experience after such a long time of COVID. And then when I switch to projects completely, so next week I will get another additional responsibility, and I will work on an overall program which is called ACT, the Accelerating Cultural Transformation. I don't know if you have heard about that, but it's like a global program from Bayer basically, which should accelerate the cultural transformation over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Of course, it's a long-term program with like different areas of focus. Yeah, so one of that is, for example, the performance excellence. How could we set up performance excellence and culture that is like steered for the modernly and also for the young people, for the new generation, and not for the people that are here 30 years or so. So how can we be a little more agile, be a little more flexible? And I just got in there, so I had like the third week. I just attended some calls. It's very interesting because there are so many people from different functions, divisions, and also from different regions of the world. And yeah, it's like a very different dynamic, and I really like that so far. And I think I can learn a lot from them because also these transitions, they are mainly the same. Yeah, they follow a certain project methodology, and then of course, depending on the country, the process and culture, it's different, has different challenges, but overall it's very similar at the time that you do it. So I'm looking very much forward to that. That's one of my new responsibilities. But first of all, like I said, I will go to Costa Rica and meet the colleagues in person. Really nice experience.
So about these transitions that you said, can you explain in more detail what this means? So you said that from the US, this task is now going to Costa Rica. Does it mean that the people in Costa Rica are still buyer employees, or are they like external employees then, or how does that work?
So first of all, we had like buyer 22, right? The overall efficiency and cost saving program. And then we had like buyer 22 plus, which is basically the extended version. And part of the program is that we as a CDN are growing, and we are like taking more responsibility, because usually at those locations that we are, be it Gdansk, Costa Rica, Bangalore, or wherever, we have like a big pool of candidates, of people that could provide those services, and also have like a big, I would say, knowledge, and also like a big flexibility because of the regions that we could support. And then basically in the US now, it means that people switch their jobs. Like things that we can already offer in the shared service center in Costa Rica, we basically extend them. For example, now it's the process of data management as one example, just to give you there a little bit more insight. And then we build up in the SSCDN a certain team, and hire then new people, and then have the colleagues basically in the US still there, always depending on the process. But some of them then change their positions, or leave Bayer or something like that. So that is what the transition is mainly about.
Yeah, or maybe not so nice for the people who.
I don't know. And that's also the difficult part about it. And I mean, especially now in this transition, this is probably the hardest challenge, because on the one hand side, people are losing their jobs, or having different responsibilities, and those people have maybe worked for like 20-25 years in the same job, and for them it's super hard to switch and super hard also to get something new. But on the other hand side, there are new opportunities for other people. So I mean, the main thing that I learned during that time is that we all are human beings. We all need to treat that equally and fairly. For me, at this specific transition, it was a little bit hard because I was often kind of the referee, between, or the external person that comes from a different region basically, and had to be like the person that talks with them about different topics, and had to be a good communicator. But of course, that is not an easy business, let's say. But you need to build some trust, need to work together as one team. At the end, there's like this, I would say, bigger picture that you always have to keep an eye on and keep in mind. But of course, there are difficult things also along the road.
I just thought that maybe, especially from the US people, that you get some, like, people don't want to really work with you together, or they put like stones in your way and build up walls, not giving the right information because they may be upset or something like that, so that there are some like problems when you're working with them. And
usually those hiccups, I mean, they come up at the beginning of the transition. When you gather the team, everybody's new, nobody knows each other, but then you try to build some trust, and that was one of my biggest responsibility in that. Connect those people, build trust, and starts with having the camera on during meetings, right? Especially if you don't know each other, and then having some also social interactions besides work. Then one big supporter was that we brought people from Costa Rica to the US to see how they work on site, and vice versa. So that was really a good thing that we did. And usually what we see in those transitions, and I did that for the last 2.5 years, so basically in every transition, after some time and after they meet the colleagues, especially when they meet it in person, that they build some kind of certain trust, and this, I would say, first doubt, or first say, maybe I don't want that, I don't want to give them knowledge or train them, this disappears. Not 100%, of course, but once they see that they're also nice people, maybe just from a different culture or from a different background, usually the relationship gets better. And then it's also like a process of like half a year or even longer that they work together and know each other. So it takes time, but of course it's not an easy topic for nobody that's involved there.
So have you had the opportunity to go to the US as well and meet the colleagues there?
Unfortunately not. So when the Costa Rican colleagues went there in June, I wasn't able to go there. And now I'm will only visit. I mean, it's also a nice thing to go there. And we have still some of the US colleagues visiting there from now, not the full team, but a few people are coming there. And now I will go for 2 weeks to Costa Rica to meet them, which is of course also very nice. And I like that. And yeah, and for me, it's a good thing. What helped me a lot during that time, I was also part of a transition, right? So I was like working in Leverkusen before when I started in 2018 in Bayer. And then in 2020, my team or my task actually got not dissolved, but it got also transferred to Gdansk. And I took the decision basically, okay, I mean, I was very young, I was very free with little responsibilities, no partner in life, no real flat or something like that, or huge responsibility in Germany. And then I said to myself, okay, I really would like to work in a different culture. And of course, my first thought, to be quite honest with you, wasn't Poland. Yeah, Poland was very by accident because I've never been to Poland before when I took the decision. And I said yes, but so far so good, even during the pandemic. So for me, it was like always that I could feel how the people think once they hear that they're losing their job, or they need to take on different responsibilities. So that helped me a lot to be in the shoes some time ago. And yeah, it was a really nice experience at the end for me as well. So that's cool.
Now you answered the next question I had, because I wanted to ask why you did the decision to go to Poland, but then it was not really out of the blue. It was you forced, let's say it like this.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked that Bayer at this time that much. So for me, it was like, okay, I could have easily, of course, left Bayer, and said, okay, I really want to do something different and stay in Germany. But having then the opportunity to know already the company and knowing what I learned through this 2 years in Leverkusen and what I can learn, and also my willingness to explore different country and culture, this all came together. And then for me, the package was just okay. Yeah, it was nice to go there. And I knew that if it will be a good time, I will really enjoy it and I will learn a lot, and I will also have a career in Bayer. And if it really goes wrong and I don't really like it, then after 1 or 2 months, I quit here and I go back to Germany and find there a new job. I mean, or study again and so on. So it's like the risk was really, really low. And I mean, there were like 2 moments I took taking this decision, which really helped me to do that. So the one was in October 2019. It was like, I usually went to some snack and talks. At this time it was with Wolfgang Nickels, our CFO of Bayer. And I sat next to him in one round. And of course, in those rounds, everybody can ask a question. And I told him about, okay, there's the opportunity for me to go to Gdansk in the shared service center and work there and have some experience abroad and so on. And then he turned around like that and said, I mean, you're a young man. Why you not do it? Yeah. What's the reason why not do it? And this was like one of the aha moments for me while taking the decision. I was like, yeah, he's right somehow. What is the risk? I mean, if I don't like it, like I said, I come back and the world will still be okay for me. But if I haven't tried it, it would be I wouldn't be satisfied. And the second thing is, like, my mom really encouraged me to do that. So she said also, I mean, I know you're the best, and I know that if you would reject this decision or say no without knowing how it is, you will be unhappy. And yeah, she was exactly right with that. And like I said, it was one of the best decisions personally and also for my career that I did. And now I'm already over 2 years here. Yeah, and for me, it also opened up the view of Germany, and of how Germans work and how Germany is. Yeah, it was also a very nice experience, a very nice outside view you get when you live and work in a different country. Have you worked or lived in a different country?
Yes, I have. When I finished high school, I went to England to work there as an au pair, because actually my mother is English, so I have English heritage.
Any accent?
a little bit. But she never, she just talked German to me when I was a child. And I always felt a little bit ashamed to not be able to speak English fluently when this is my heritage. So that's why I decided after high school to go there to learn it properly. And then when I studied, I went to Australia and I did a study abroad for 1 semester there. And then also 3 summers I worked in Spain as a tour guide as well. Yeah.
So tour guiding and also different cultures are also something that are nice to you. And could you imagine living or working in a different country now with Bayer?
Yes, actually, this is what I always thought. I thought that I'll never be able to find a job here in this, what I want to do. I thought I'll never find something here in Germany. And I always thought that I have to go abroad. Well, now I'm in Berlin, in my hometown, and I found the perfect job. I would have never thought that. But let's see what the future brings. I'm still open for other opportunities. And yes, so for me, I always thought that I want to have a very good career. I want to be very hardworking. Well, not hardworking in terms of just sitting in the office from morning till evening and have no private life, but like putting in effort into your work. If you appreciate your work, if you like what you do, then why shouldn't you put effort into your work? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it comes natural. Once you have fun with something, you actually like to do it and you put more effort in it. And usually also you get the rewards. Yeah.
exactly, yes.
It's like the
It's not all
same.
about the rewards, but obviously it's in job life, it's one good part about it, if you get rewards and like get a higher position or you meet new people and you get promotions here or there. So that's something that's on your mind all the time as well, kind of. You're not doing it because you want to get a promotion or reward, but it's a good compensation.
Yeah, and I think also the recognition helped me a lot. I mean, for me, I'm now 4 years within Bayer and had a lot of leaders already in my 4 years time. And also having, of course, leaders which I learned more from and leaders which I not learned that much from. But usually they all supported me once I started talking openly about my aspirations. Yeah, once I said, okay, I really would like to do that, or I can see myself in 3, 4, 5 years in that position, or I'm open to move here or there. They really were supportive and tried to help me. Of course, it's always like a longer process in such a big company, but nevertheless, I was very lucky and fortunate that I got very supportive leaders in my time in Bayer.
But this is something that I noticed from the beginning, even as an external employee. I noticed that Bayer is really putting a focus on the employees and seeing what they want and what they like, and also like offering other positions if they're unhappy with their current jobs, even if it's something completely different from their backgrounds or something like this. And I like that Bayer is very supportive in these things.
Yeah, and now it's really good to hear that you see that as an external or also from a side perspective, because I got to know that from side is very different, and for me, from side to side or location to location, let's say. And for me, coming from HR, usually in HR you are more employee or people centric and focused than other functions. So it's good to hear that it's that you feel the same way, because in HR we usually have like all the knowledge about the tool, yeah, and those are more familiar for us, yeah, be it like the check-ins, the development dialogues, or whatever. And usually when you talk to different people across the globe, sometimes it's not so obvious, yeah, for them to use it. And also there are different ways of people getting onboarded. So I think this is also one of the biggest challenges that we have in Bayer. We want to have a global approach, yeah, but there are so many local deviations, local things that we have to keep in mind from not only cultural perspective, but be it law perspective or whatever, that then hinder us for a global approach, yeah. And in the same way, those things that are exceptional, yeah, or maybe that from a process perspective are very, yeah, I see that. I'm giving you an example. I see that now with the US, that we have many local things there that are happening, local specific processes, which are really not connected to global. So we have those both sides. On the one hand side, the global approach is not really lived global. On the other hand side, the local process is not really connected to any global standard or global people or whatever in Bayer. So that's one issue I came across a lot of times already.
Yeah, I guess onboarding in general can be better done, I think. I mean, for me, it was a little bit different because I already knew everything. So when I arrived here, I already had my card. I just came into the office. I knew that because this is the former office of my contact person before. So she is now a pensioner and I have now her office. So that's very funny as well. So I was able to start right away. But imagining never been here before and just starting like this, it would have been very, very, I don't know, weird. It would be good to have like a proper schedule, what you do on your first day, what should be done, like showing you the ways here or there and explaining to you what you can do. When I do the site tours here, I walk around with the people and I show them, okay, in this building we have this and that, for example, and a lot of people don't know. Like, even if they've been here for 20 years or something, they're like, what? I've never knew that we have this or that here. So information is really key and it's not really given to the people easily. That's something that needs to be improved, I think.
How does it look in your team now with coming back to the office? Do you decide as a team that you meet once a week, or do you have like some rules there that you need to be some days in? How does it look?
We are a very small team. We're only 3 and we said that it's not really necessary that we need to be here, have a date where we all meet, and then everyone decides for themselves when they want to come in and when they don't want to come in. For me, it's pretty easy. If I have a guided tour, I have to be here. So from the three of us, I think I'm here the most, especially in the last 2 months, because since the Corona regulations have eased, my bookings actually have risen a lot. So in the last 2 months, nearly every day I had 2 to 3 guided tours. So I was just like running around on the campus from here and doing this and that. And yeah, then the others just decide whenever they want to come in or not. Very, very easy.
Are there many internal or external groups
It's more internal. The tours are designed for internal employees worldwide and their business partners. So mainly when people come from other sites, they want to see the site and the production. A lot of people want to see production. I can understand, it's very cool. And then sometimes we have university groups here. We had the Bundeswehr here. So sometimes we have external groups, but mainly really it's internal employees from all around the world.
And are you like engaged in other topics next to your normal work, or what have you found in Bayer besides your normal job, let's say? Is there anything like, for example, being engaged in a BRG or being involved in some sustainability topics or whatever, something like that?
Not really yet. So this whole PO-app NFT thing is something that, as said, I'm not the one who does it. So this actually comes from another function, and they introduced it to my colleague, and she was like, oh, this could be very interesting for Melissa and her tours. So that's why I was introduced to it. And now I said I kind of became the PO-app ambassador here at the site. So this is something that yes, it is related to my work, but it's not 100%. And it's not my job to promote it here on the site and to tell other people how they could use it and to make it big and a big thing for Bayer. So this is something like that. And other than that, no, not yet. But I mean, it feels like October was just yesterday, but it's already July. So I was just going to say, well, I just started, but it's nearly a year. No, I haven't done any other. I mean, I am in the Teams channel of Young Bayer, and this is also how I heard about this career talk, but I'm not actively involved in something there. What about you? You said you are in this, like, what was it, climate something?
No, I mean, I'm involved in Young Bayer highly, yeah. So over 1.5 years, and I did podcasts. For example, last year I did a podcast series. It was actually one of the first podcasts. Not to brag about it, but we were really at the forefront of having podcasts in Bayer. And then after some months, you saw actually have podcast here, this function as a podcast, and so on and so forth. So, and we also got approached by people on how to do that and so on. So that was really a cool thing to do. And it was about a digital mindset. So we basically interviewed people and asked them about different questions, private and also work related, when it comes to their mindset, how do they approach digital things and so on. So it was very, very cool to do that. But like I said, mainly focus is on Young Bayer because I mean, as a very young person, and I always like to have also a seat at the table, of making the young voice heard, let's say. Of course, this now with having a multi-generational BRG or multi-generational focus, we also focus on different generations. But for me, the main driver was always, okay, how can also young people have responsibility in the company, can be heard, can give feedback to some decisions or some things that are going on in the company. And we did really cool things. So we work in circles, and very organic and grassroots. So it really grows by somebody having an idea, writing it into a Teams group. Then people say, hey, I would like to participate, or I have the same challenge in my area and let's collaborate or let's build something. So that's really a cool thing. And I like that organizational model, let's say. It's very different than what we have in Bayer. Yeah, and I'm, for example, involved there in a networking circle, where we mainly have done events with different production sites over the last 1.5 years. We had one with a production site in Spain. We had, for example, the Wuppertal site and the Bergkamen site already. So I just were really trying to bring the business closer to the people, because we still have those silo mentalities sometime in Bayer, that we are not really connected between each other. Then IND, of course, we had an IND circle, was then focusing on reverse mentoring, or last year rolling out the Live 2.0 events as well. And we had one cool thing that I was part in, was called the sounding board. I don't know if you have heard about that, but where we did like three personas and went for each persona through the life cycle of the employee. So the attraction phase, the entry phase, development phase, and exit phase. Came up with concrete proposals to HR, and now those proposals, at least a few of them, are running in a pilot mode, and after some time we will review them and get some feedback and then roll them out further. So yeah, I think we're doing really cool things, and now with having a global blueprint or a global footprint, let's say, with also having budget, global sponsors, global leadership team, we can have a broader impact. And yeah, that is something I then work on besides my normal duties of project and so on.
See that you just said that sites are not connected, and this is actually something that I want to kind of start after my holidays, because often I get asked, are there other guided tours at other sites? And I don't know. I don't know if other sites have someone like me who is responsible for the visitor management. And that's what I actually wanted to start after my holidays, like kind of reaching out to other sites, asking if there is someone like me. And if so, then building like a network that people can contact each other and say like, oh, I have a group here. They were asking for a guided tour there and there. What can I tell them, or can I give them your contact? Just so you know that you can contact the other sites in your area of work, really. And yeah, that's something that's really helpful, I think.
I think I can help you there. I know at least I know the communication person for Wuppertal-Elberfeld quite good because I worked with her together. Then I now have a very new colleague in Wuppertal-Abrac, so for a different side, and also some colleagues for Bergkamen. So if you need their connection, I can shoot you the names over, and then you can connect with them after your holidays.
Yeah, perfect. That's a good thing. Good thing to start. Yeah, because I mean, even finding all the sites, there's so many. Yeah. Like you know the big ones, Leverkusen and St. Louis and all these ones, but there are so many small ones that you don't know about, and to finding them all and to see. Maybe it's also even possible to have something like a general thing that is applicable for all sites. For example, also, I don't want to brag, but when I do the site tours, some people already told me, like, I've seen many production sites, and this was the most professional one I've did. And so maybe like we can then work on standards that can be adapted to all the different sites, to all the different tours. So we have throughout Bayer the same quality in guided tours as well.
Yeah, and definitely learn from each other. Yeah, you can participate in the guided tour for Leverkusen and vice versa. So to get an insight, how do they do it? There should be like a network actually for that. Yeah, maybe not even only in Germany. Maybe you could start there, but then even across Europe or even across the globe. Yeah. So that you have like a connection, and once this site has something new, for example in Leverkusen, that if you have a Berlin tour, you can say, yeah, we don't have this, but the Leverkusen site has this already, and if you want to visit it there, I can give you the contact of it, or maybe they have also a virtual tour which you then can shoot over. So I think there is a good space for opportunity there with the sites.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I think as well. Yeah, let's see.
Let's see. Cool.
You said you started with the podcasts, and I told you that I'm now starting the vlogs as well. Yeah. And in the beginning, I was also thinking, what is better? Is it better to have a podcast? Is it better to have a vlog? And I actually don't listen to podcasts myself. I don't like it. I need pictures when I hear. And I also like being in front of the camera. So that's why the vlog option was better for me. But just to have an experience from your side, how well was it used? Like, how many users did you have over the time of your podcast?
Regardless of which format you choose, it always depends on how well it got promoted. So I give you a rough number. We did like 2 seasons basically with each of 6 episodes, and we had 1 episode with Wolfgang Nickel, which we actually divided in 2 episodes, and there were like a big Bayernet article on top of the page, for basically global, and then we had like over 1,000 clicks and over 1,000 listeners, and of course the feedback that we received on this episode was immense, and was really cool to see. But then we had also the average clicks we had on the episodes that we just promoted via Teams or via Yammer or whatever. There were like 150, 200. So it really depends on when it comes out, how well you do promote it, what's the length, and you always have it. I mean, if you choose podcast in Bayer, the people either listen to it while they do some other stuff, or they listen to it with their company mobile phone. Mm-hmm. But not everybody has a company mobile phone, so you exclude there already a big number of participants that can listen to it, for example, on their way to work. But on the other hand, if you do vlog, you can do anything else. Yeah, you then have to also want to watch it, of course, the video. So at the beginning, it was really hard for us to reduce the time. Yeah, because we thought, okay, what is a good timing that people still listen to it and not have it too long? So there we tried to stick to 25, 30 minutes, which was actually already too long. But we had so nice guests that for us, it was so enjoyable that it was hard for us to stop. Yeah. And also we had guests that talked a lot. So it was also hard sometimes to interrupt them and say, okay, we need to cut it here and do it. So it was tough. And at the end, we came up with like 15, maximum 20 minutes. Yeah. Which people look at it and say, okay, 15 minutes, I can do it now because it's like end of my workday. I'm just having to read some emails or write some emails or whatever, and I can listen to it in the background. So that was okay. Yeah. But for us, it was like more that with a podcast, we did like an MS Teams recording like we do now. Yeah. And then we just put a picture on that. So without a video, but while the recording, of course, we had a video on. And then we cut something out. But in general, we almost don't need it to cut something out because we wanted to keep it very general. Yeah. And even with Wolfgang Nickel, we just said, okay, just talk as we want. And of course, those people, they don't usually say something which can't come out there. So for us, it was like also really, really easy, and we kept it really easy going. So it was a really nice experience, but at the end, also much effort. Yeah, if it's not like part of your daily job, yeah, you really need to invest time. We also we were like two people that made like an intake meeting with the person basically, roughly gave them the question, not in too much detail, so not that the people could really much prepare for the questions. And then we need to find a date, and then of course needed to do the editing at the end, even if it wasn't that hard. But then also writing a description, for example, publishing it in variety of different channels. So yeah, it comes with a bit of workload, but it was really fun.
And was it worth it, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, we always said, even though that we were sometimes disappointed and looked at the views, that we only had like 100, 150, 200 views on a really cool topic. Yeah, for example, we had like a farmer from Brazil, which was into digital climate cooperation. Yeah, then we had an IT guy, then we had one from consumer health talking with us about how the new distribution of e-commerce within consumer health goes on. So for us, it was like super interesting topics because we both were from HR, so always like not really related. So at the end, we said, even for us, if we only hear it and we only did it and even wouldn't publish it, it was worth it because we learned a lot. Okay, so for us, it was really worth it, but it comes with effort, definitely.
Yeah, cool. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, very much. Thank you very much for getting to know you, for the insights. I'm really much looking forward to the NFT because I think this is very, very something cool. And when I came into this, I never thought, okay, side communication that you tell me something about NFT.
There you go.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your experiences in Costa Rica. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit jealous. I would like to go there as well. But maybe if I have these network of visitor management people, maybe we can then have an exchange sometimes as well, and I can go there.
That would be a good benefit of it. Unfortunately, right now it's rainy season in Costa Rica, but I think it still will be fine because their rainy season has still like 20-25 degrees, which for us Middle European, it's pretty warm.
Yeah. So, well, then enjoy your holidays, the 1 week off, and with a new energy then into the new projects. And we're going to talk to each other later on, I guess.
Yeah. We keep in touch. Thank you very much, Melissa. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.